Thank you to our viewers that are tuning into another newly listed on the CSE clip. I'm Anil Mall representing the CSE, and today we are speaking with Salim Dhanji. Salim is the CEO of ME Therapeutics Holdings. This is a company that listed on the exchange late last year, October the 12th. It trades under the symbol METX. Salim, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you're well.
I'm well, thanks. Thank you for having me, Anil.
Absolutely. Salim, so, I was reading up some stuff on the company. It's a biotech company. I want you to explain to me what this company does. What's the vision of your team and company?
Yeah, absolutely. So ME Therapeutics is a preclinical biotechnology company, and we specialize in immuno-oncology. Our company is kind of aiming to redefine cancer treatment by leveraging the immune system, particularly by focusing on a subset of cells called myeloid cells, which play a key role in suppressing the immune response and preventing current immuno-oncology drugs from working. We've developed a portfolio of immuno-oncology drug candidates that are designed to modulate myeloid cell activity in order to make immuno-oncology work for more patients.
Salim, you've mentioned the word immuno-oncology a couple of times. For our viewers that might not be familiar with what that terminology is, do you want to maybe break that down into layman's terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So immuno-oncology, in the simplest sense, is really drugs that reactivate a patient's own immune system to fight cancer. And so the idea is that as cancers grow, they develop ways to suppress the immune system in order to hide themselves from the immune system's attack. And so when the first immuno-oncology drugs were discovered about 10 or 12 years ago, what they found was that if you could block some of these suppressive pathways that the cancer is using, you could actually unleash the immune response and have patients' own immune system fight their cancer. And so that kind of area.
Very interesting stuff. And so currently the company, are you in clinical stages, trial stages? Where are you guys?
So we're preclinical. So we've developed several drug development programs, and we're advancing them towards clinical trial. But we are probably, depending on the program, 6 months or so away from meeting with the FDA to decide, how to design the trial and basically what they call a pre-IND meeting.
Yeah. Well, when you're in this space and you're working on this type of technology and trials, of course there's always success, but then there's always hurdles that you have to overcome. What are some of the challenges that you and your team come across?
Yeah. So I mean, in research, there's always hurdles. I mean, finding the right people, finding the right targets. A lot of it is saying, this is, we have the expertise in the biology and the immunology of what we're doing. And we're saying, okay, these targets make sense based on all the research that's out there. But then we have to go and design a drug to target that. And so we actually really leverage expertise of our partners in terms of drug development so that we can, bring their technologies in to develop drugs to target the targets that we think are going to be relevant. And then from there, really, you have to take it and run the animal studies and ask the appropriate animal studies that give you the answer that you want. And then, then you go into the clinic. So there's a lot of places where, you can have results that don't work for you. But a lot of the times you can kind of move past that and you tweak the drug a little bit and take it forward. So they're standard kind of drug development challenges that everyone faces.
Yeah. Salim, you talked a little bit about, the people behind this. I want to get into your background as well as some of your key team members that you brought on board. And then after that, why don't we talk a little bit about some of your partners?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is I'm a scientist by training. I have a PhD in immunology, which I received in 2006. Actually, my very first scientific publication well over 20 years ago during my PhD, was on the role of the immune system in fighting cancer. And back then, actually, nobody even thought that it was ever going to be clinically relevant. After my PhD, I did a postdoctoral fellowship at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center in Toronto, and then did a 5-year stint at a startup biotechnology company where I was involved in pretty much every aspect of drug development there. And we were able to take programs into the clinic. So, and then after that, we started ME Therapeutics.
Very interesting. And what about some of your key team members that you brought on board to make sure that, this company and technology has success?
Yeah, so we have a really strong team. Our board of directors has, a lot of experience in immunology research. We have over 100 combined patents and publications. We have a very experienced public company CFO on our side as well. And then we surround ourselves with a lot of advisors and mentors who have experience in things ranging from drug development to pharmaceutical partnerships to capital markets. So we've surrounded ourselves with the right people in order to make ourselves successful.
I'm going to echo what you said there, because the success of any team depends on the people that you surround yourself with. So it really makes a lot of sense. Now, do you and your team have any peers in this space that are comparable?
So there's a couple of, the immuno-oncology field is quite an active area of research. So there are a lot of immuno-oncology companies out there. Companies focusing on myeloid cell biology, which we think is key and which the scientific community now is picking up on. There are fewer companies in that space. And the ones that are there are actually are focused on pathways that are differentiated from what we're looking at. And so, they're looking at targets in myeloid cells that are different than the targets we're looking at. But the interesting thing with immuno-oncology is because the immuno-oncology drugs work by targeting the immune system rather than the cancer itself, they can be used in multiple different cancer types. So, Keytruda, which is one of the most, widely successful immuno-oncology drugs, I think is approved in 15 different cancer indications. The field is so large in immuno-oncology that just because there's one myeloid targeted therapy that's successful doesn't mean that ours can't be successful because we have access to other indications. And so, we've seen this in the T cell targeting space where, we have multiple current generation immuno-oncology drugs on the market and they're all successful.
Well said. Now, I know the company I mentioned in the beginning began trading on the CSE October the 12th. It's been a little bit of a steady news flow for you guys. Can you maybe walk us through 2023? What were some of the achievements? And then let's talk about some milestones our viewers can look out for from you and your team in the coming months of 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, 2 drug development programs that are underway at the moment, and then a discovery program that we're getting into, which I'll discuss in a second. So in 2023, we started we decided for our most advanced drug program, which is a antibody therapeutic that targets a protein called GCSF. We have done all the animal studies showing that the target is the correct target to go after. The next step was to really say, okay, is our antibody actually going to be safe to administer in humans? And in order to do that, we decided to do some preliminary safety studies to de-risk future human trials and future IND-enabling studies. So those started in December of 2023. We also started doing some animal efficacy studies, so testing our second drug program, which is a myeloid-targeted prodrug. We started testing that in animal models, mouse cancer models. Those those studies are ongoing right now, and so we should get results soon. Right now in 2024.
So lots to look forward to in the coming months of the year. Salim, I appreciate you taking the time to, not only educate myself a little bit on the space, but also our audience on what you and your team are focused on. We always encourage our viewers to go do their due diligence. Of course, go to your website, sign up for your newsletters, press releases, and read up on the technology, the trials that are happening and are upcoming. Of course, reach out to you and your team should they have more questions. Where can we direct our viewers?
The best place would be our website. So it's just metherapeutics.com. Our socials are all there. We plan to put out regular updates in terms of what we're doing in R&D. And we just want to be, we want to make sure that our investors are all up to speed with what we're up to and give them the best opportunity to understand what the potential of the company is and to benefit from that.
On that note, once again, welcome to you and your team to the Canadian Securities Exchange. We look forward to hosting you on, let's say, in the next 6 months or so, or maybe a little bit longer, once you have more results and we can talk about the progress of the company. To everybody watching, you've been listening to Mr. Salim Dhanji. He is the CEO of ME Therapeutics Holdings. Of course, it's on the CSE under the symbol METX. Salim, thanks once again for your time.
Thank you, Anil.